So wonderful for us to be together. So let's join in these words from the Psalms, Hine Ma Tov, how good it is when we come together.
You have Shabbat candles with you. Invite you to go to them now as together we will join together in welcoming Shabbat by kindling the Shabbat lights, the light of God's presence that adds to the beauty of this moment, the beauty of Shabbat and of our celebration together. Please join with us. Let us welcome Shabbat as we usually do with the words of Lecha Dodi.
Can rise now to greet the Sabbath bride.
If you'd like to remain standing, we'll join together in the words, these beautiful words of the Baruch Hu. Someone once said about the Shema that we don't recite the Shema to remind God that God is one. We recite the Shema to remind ourselves of God's oneness, of God's unity, that we, each created in God's image, are just a reflection of that oneness, which is what underlies this idea of Rabbi Heschel's, this beautiful thought for us to consider in this moment as we prepare to join together in in the Shema. If you would like to, I invite you to rise. But I'll say this about the Shema as well, as I've mentioned in the past. Rabbinic tradition teaches us that whatever position you are in, when you begin to study Torah, is the position you should remain in. And in that regard, it's okay. Sometimes people remain seated as they turn to the Shema, as it is indeed words of Torah from the book of Deuteronomy. So whatever your tradition, however you are comfortable, we'll join together in the Shema.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בהם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם להיות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Rabbi Jonathan Sacks, in his wonderful book To Heal a Fractured World, reflects on the great rabbi and teacher Maimonides. Maimonides, Rabbi Sacks tells us, believed in the God who intervened to save a people from slavery, set them on the path to freedom, and taught them how to honor the freedom and dignity of others. Those who walk in God's ways, Rabbi Sacks explains, are socially involved. They fight battles, seek peace, work for the underprivileged and excluded, and do not merely contemplate justice, but struggle to achieve it. The pursuit of holiness, to which we are called on this Shabbat, is to be among those who walk in God's path, honoring the freedom and pursuing the dignity of all others in our world. Let us consider this path as we join together now in our song of freedom.
Come on. נהדר בקודש, נורתי לו, עושה פלא, נורתי לו, עושה פלא, עושה פלא. מי כמוך באלוהים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורתי לו, עושה פלא, נורתי לו, עושה פלא, עושה פלא. מלכותך ראו בניך, אוקיי הים לפני משה, משה ומרים, ואלי עמדו ויאמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, לעולם ועד. מי כמוך באלוהים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורתי לו, עושה פלא, נורתי לו, עושה פלא, עושה פלא.
We turn now to the Amidah as we prepare to rise to join together. We are reminded by these words that we should strive always to let the words that come out of our lips be words that always, always declare God's praise. If you're able to, where you are, I invite you to please rise.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imateinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Mekonei Hakol, Mezocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, Umevig Yola Livnei B'neihem, ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה, אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד אתה מחלקן חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בגבורות ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה, ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Invite you to take a moment now for the prayers and meditations of your own hearts, to look inward and to offer the prayers that come forth from you as we enter Shabbat. And as we have been doing, if you would like to offer a prayer or blessing to our community and place it in our chat box, please feel free to do so. We'll pause for a moment of silent prayer. As we turn now to words of healing, we offer this prayer not only for our own loved ones, but we offer a prayer for all who are suffering illness of body or mind or spirit. As some of you have already begun to place in our chat box the name of those who are on your hearts this Shabbat, those for whom you are praying for their healing. We offer this prayer for those who are suffering from coronavirus this Shabbat. We pray, may it be your will, God of our fathers and mothers, that you cast the light of health and well-being on those who've been exposed to coronavirus, those who have contracted the disease and those who contract the disease in the future, God forbid. Bless them, protect them, and bring them speedily to full recovery. Send them healing of soul, healing of body, and healing of spirit. And for all those seeking a full and complete healing, we say, Amen. Join together in Misha Berach. There we go. Can you all see the screen? Okay. So what does it mean to be holy? How does one achieve holiness? How do you make something holy? These are some of the questions at the heart of this week's Torah portion called Kedoshim. It is a Torah portion which is in many ways the beating heart of the Torah. After all, holiness stands at the center of Jewish ideals, values, morals, and most importantly, Jewish acts. Even if you are not so skilled at Hebrew, you hear something sonically familiar in the name of this week's portion. It is the sound of holiness, Kedoshim. You hear the same sound of holiness when we say Kadosh, 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 holy, 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 rising up on our toes each time in the Kedusha prayer. Or we recognize the holiness of Shabbat with Kiddush. And you certainly hear holiness as we remember loved ones who have died with the words of Kaddish. And of course, in more normative times, we join together in these expressions of holiness at holy times in a most holy of places, the Beit Mikdash, the sanctuary. But all of this just begs the question, actually, what is this holiness all about? What is it that we are actually doing when we say Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh? Or when we recite Kiddush? Or when we say Kaddish? What exactly does it all mean? The answer can be found in the root of these words, Kuf Dalid Shin, which we recognize as having to do with something holy or sacred, but also carries the meaning of something special, something unique, something set apart. When we sanctify Shabbat, for instance, with Kiddush, we are setting it apart as a unique moment in time. When we sanctify the memory of a loved one, we are setting them apart by saying Kaddish, recognizing the unique place they hold in each of our hearts. When we join together in the sanctuary, the Beit Mikdash, we are gathering in a space set apart for the unique purpose of, among other things, reflection and connection and renewal. With holy words and holy acts, we set things apart, recognizing their unique qualities and purpose. We elevate them to a special status. So clearly, here's the good news. At this moment in our social distancing, we are doing something quite holy as we are setting ourselves apart. We might, therefore, expect to find in our Torah portion instructions regarding really holy things. Like, for instance, prayer as a way to better connect to God, or perhaps instructions for truly magnanimous actions, things that go above and beyond the ordinary, truly special, even heroic human moments. Well, in a sense, that is what you find here. In this portion are a wide array of all sorts of acts and behaviors that are meant to help us achieve holiness. It's just that looking at the list, you probably wouldn't consider them so extraordinary, certainly not necessarily heroic. They are things like respecting your parents, observing Shabbat, not stealing or lying, rising in the presence of your elders, committing to fair business practices, avoiding gossip, and not purposefully misleading someone else. Now, I suppose you could look at this list and think, well, the Torah sets the bar for sacred human behavior rather low, don't you think? Or you might recognize in this list of rather simple acts just how difficult it is for us to rise above our base human instincts and set ourselves apart, even in the apparently simplest of ways. Perhaps I need not point out that we are daily bombarded with incriminating evidence of the difficulty of these seemingly simple holy acts. You shall be holy because I, your God, am holy. So begins this week's portion. I created you in my image, but B'Tselem Elohim, God is reminding us that you might aspire to be like me. That is, to be holy is to rise up, to aspire towards that which is godly within us. That is what we reenact every time we lift ourselves up on our toes while saying, Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. Holy, holy, holy is God Most High. In that symbolic act of standing on our tiptoes, we are lifting ourselves up from our base human instincts and reaching towards something higher, reaching towards God. When our prayers and texts speak of love, it is of these sacred acts to which they are referring. We express our love for others through holy acts, through mitzvot, through chesed, acts of loving kindness, through tzedek, acts of justice, and so much more. As our portion makes clear this Shabbat, it is through these sacred acts that we are to express our love for God, for our neighbor, and for the stranger. Now, expressing our love for God is hopefully self-evident. Even expressing our love for our neighbor is not the most difficult thing in the world. After all, our neighbor is a member of our community. They likely hold similar values to me, common perspectives. We are similar to them in many ways. But then there is the love of the stranger, which is neither self-evident nor particularly easy. Its difficulty is recognized by the Torah's repetition of this command no less than 36 times. The repetition is evidence not only of the difficulty of loving the stranger, but also of the incredible significance and holiness of this act. So sacred and unique, in fact, is loving the stranger that even today we can continue to take notice of those who set themselves apart by caring for the stranger. This also makes the news. But unfortunately, unless you're John Krasinski sharing some good news on YouTube, usually this good news, this loving of the stranger, makes just like, the last 30 seconds as a feel-good piece to send us on our way after having spent the vast majority of the time hearing about all of humanity's unholy acts. In addition to the seemingly more simple holy acts, our portion this Shabbat calls upon us, as we have said, to this much more difficult task by reminding us that we too were once slaves in Egypt. As URJ President Rabbi Rick Jacobs noted this week in his commentary on this portion, Egypt might be a bit removed for most of us. but the enslavement of the Holocaust, perhaps not so much. We have been strangers in strange lands many times in our long and winding history, in Egypt and Babylonia, in every nation across Europe, and even here in the United States. Though they are usually far less significant in some way, in some measure, at some time, we have all had the experience of being a stranger, haven't we? We have all stood on the outside looking in at some point or another, unrecognized, unwanted, unseen, unknown. Hopefully, when you have had that experience, there was someone who redeemed you, who took it upon themselves to perform the sacred task of inviting you in, making you feel welcome and part of the group. So as difficult as this moment is for us, consider how difficult, how frightening for the strangers among us, for those who sit on the borders of our communities looking in, the homeless, the immigrant, the one who has no health insurance, the one who must choose each and every day between their health and providing for their family. Now, our base human instinct is to keep the stranger out. We tell ourselves they are not us. They are different. We may even tell ourselves they are dangerous and scary. But the Torah makes clear that there is one law for all. And even goes beyond that in this week's portion, reminding us this Shabbat, insisting, in fact, that we take one step further, that we go from one law to one love, from simply following the law to acting in a holy and loving way. As we remain set apart, I pray that we can each find ways to set ourselves apart by rising up to holy acts, perhaps through supportive agencies such as these that are on the front line doing very holy work in this most difficult of times. I pray that we can each find ways to set ourselves apart by rising up to holy acts that express our love for God, our love for our neighbors, and most significantly and most especially for the strangers that reside among us. Shabbat Shalom. Each day between Passover and Shavuot, we mark the day, we count the Omer, which, as we discussed last week, is not so all just about counting sheaves of barley leading into a harvest and sheaves of wheat, but counting our own days and thinking as we approach Sinai and prepare to receive Torah, how we can best be one who receives Torah, what it means for us to be one who receives Torah. What does it take to be one that receives Torah? And so tonight, we count once again, invite you to join with me in this blessing and invite you more than that to take this Shabbat and take each day as we lead up to Shavuot to think about the qualities of your own character, how you might rise up to holiness. Please join with me. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al svirat ha'omer. Our praise to you, Adonai, sovereign of all, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to count the Omer. Hayom shlosha ve'esrim yom la'omer, shehem shlosha shavuot u'shnei yamim. Today is 23 days of the Omer, which are 3 weeks and 2 days. Turn now to the Aleinu. And if you are able, ask you where you are to please rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשינו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
We turn now to words of memory, words of holiness, words of sanctification with which we recognize those who are set apart, who hold a special place in our hearts. As we each remember our own loved ones, we first remember those who have been lost in recent days, whose families are in the period of Shiva, or Shloshim, the first 7 or 30 days of mourning. We remember Arthur Lassen, stepfather of Jonathan and Stephanie Carson, grandfather to Avi, Addison, and Adler. We remember Alan Leuben, father of Rabbi Joanne Leuben. And we remember Hannah Pushin, grandmother of Eugene, and Elena Pushin, great-grandmother of Aidan and Adriana. And we recall as well those whose yahrzeit falls on this Shabbat, the anniversary of their passing this week. We remember Louis Applebaum, Lester Burkow, Pearl Brenner, Frank Castleman, John Catafo, Theodore Copland, Seymour Corin, Ray Feidelson, Eugene Fisher, Sonia Golad, Matilda Golden, Robert Goldsmith, Lee Kapoor, Milton Cover, Milton Krell, Lillian Kushinsky, Nathan Lefko, Sam Miner, Fred Nadich, Abe Rissman, Ethel Roseman, Leon Schlosser, Mel Schnell, Rose Schwimmer, Isidore Shore, and Russell Zolan. And before we join in these words of remembrance, if you are remembering a loved one and we have yet to mention them, I invite you to please share their name with us in our chat box that we might remember them as well. In support of all the mourners among us, if you are able, I would ask you to please rise as we join together. Yitkadal, Yitkadash Shemei Rabbah, Be'alma Divra Chirutei B'amlich Malchutei, B'chayechon U'vyomechon, U'b'chayei Dechol Beit Yisrael, and Ba'agala U'vizman Kariv Imru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevorach Le'olam Ul'amei Almaya, Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar V'yitromam V'yitnaseh, V'yitadar V'yit'aleh V'yithalal Shmei D'Kudsha B'richu. Le'elamin kol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru, Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all the bereaved among us. And together we say, Amen.
Every second, every minute, every hour, every day, everything, everyone, every place, every way, where you stand, where you walk, where you love, where you praise. All of it is holy ground. Every she, every what, every who. It's in her, it's in me, it's in them, it's in you. In the bitter, in the sweet, in the calm, in the storm. All of life is holy ground. So walk as if it's holy ground. Breathe as if it's all around. Talk and make a holy sound. Take your shoes off, you're on holy ground. Take your shoes off, you're on holy ground.
Let holiness sparkle from your face, radiate from your eyes, emerge from your lips. Let holiness enter your heart, infuse your lungs, expand your chest. Let holiness fortify your bones, fire your nerves, enliven your flesh. For holiness is in the earth and the sky, the storm and the quiet, the flow of blessings from God's creation, divine wisdom and mercy. Calling out to you, dear sisters and brothers, awake, you slumberers. Awake, you who move empty and hollow from sunset to sunset. Have you become blind to awe and wonder? Have you rejected the gifts that surround you? Have you abandoned your hope and your being? This then is God's command. Let holiness enter you, fortify you, shine through you. Let holiness carry you into marvelous moments and majestic years. Learn and teach, study and pray, lifting your life with zest and zeal. Let holiness be your journey and your destination. Blessed are you, God of holiness. And Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Join together in words of holiness as we set apart this moment and sanctify Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava u'v'ratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדיש השבת.
Amen. L'chaim. And I wish we could reach out and grab that all together. But let's join together in thanking God for the gifts that indeed we continue to share together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen.
Shabbat shalom. We have a few announcements on the next pages of things that are coming up. I won't run through them, but you can see them all there. They are all also on our website. Take a look at them, and we hope you will join us for some of these things or for all of them. I do want to pay particular attention to 9:30 Wednesday morning when Cantor Shapiro will be leading meditation with the Institute for Jewish Spirituality. So I hope you can join with her, with us, as we join together for that half-hour of meditation. It's always a beautiful and much-needed moment in the middle of the week. And just in case you didn't see, we are making available fresh produce boxes, which you can order and pick up at University Synagogue on Thursday, May 7th. If you haven't ordered yet and would like to, we do actually have 21 orders, so it is happening. So we hope you'll join with us. And with that, Shabbat Shalom.
Oh no, birthday anniversary prayer. Oh no, oh no.
Oh, do we have May birthdays?
Oh, Ann's birthday. Way to go, Ann.
All right, everybody in the chat box.
Tell everybody.
Bless Ann. Ann, my apologies. Well, I wish we could all be together to stand in front of the ark and celebrate this moment with you. I pray that your birthday will be a moment of
Thank you.
blessing, of inspiration, of that this coming year will be one of growth, of us coming back together to celebrate your birthday all together in the sanctuary as it should be next year. But this year, everybody can offer you their blessings right there in our chat box.
Oh, thank you. My brother-in-law, Bob, too.
And Bob's birthday as well. Is he here?
He's not, but he told me to say it for him.
Okay.
יום הולדת שמח, יום הולדת שמח, יום הולדת שמח, יום הולדת שמח.
Thank you.
Happy birthday
Very much.
to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. And Bob.
Thank you. It's martini time now, everyone.
All
If
right.
not me.
Nice.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you, Cantor.
You're welcome. Shabbat shalom, everyone. You are all unmuted, so you can.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom.
Zev, you look very